Instead of going out there and just trampling over that team, they end up losing to the Memphis Grizzlies by 3 points, which was a total embarrassment. And at the end of the game, you can hear Doc Rivers talk about some of these players didn't even know the play calls. Half of them, their minds were already in Cabo. So I was watching NBA on TNT to see what Charles Barkley and the crew had to say. And when it came time for them to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, they absolutely went off. So for those of you who didn't hear that, we want to play for you now and then come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to that.
This game, Memphis missing basically everybody. And as you point out at halftime, a lot of guys on two-way contracts, like
10-day contract.
10-day contracts.
It got so bad for Milwaukee, they went to a zone.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing about when you watch Taylor Jenkins' teams play.
They play hard.
All the time.
Taylor Jenkins is a hell of a coach.
Yeah. They lost to a bunch of dudes on 10 days.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Shaq, they went to a zone.
It would have been, and not only on 10 days, Shaq. A lot of those guys, like a one and dones or like a Gigi Jackson in those situations, they would have trouble. Who's the number one team in the country right now? UConn.
UConn, really good.
They'd have trouble with UConn. Like it'd be a good game if that game was going on now.
Why do you say we look at the highlights? Come on, we need to. No, I'm only 3 games left before the All-Star break. So let's just let's go through this.
The Milwaukee Bucks are in trouble in terms of intensity, in terms of leadership, in terms of know-how. Like this is I don't. Doc Rivers is a Hall of Fame coach. There's no reason to start off 3-7. You should be excited, and they should have an energy of excitement when he came in. That, hey, we're trying to win it all, and this is what it's about. But it went backfire.
Milwaukee needs to understand because of Giannis and Dame, the opponents are going to be playing way above their heads. But forget all that. You're supposed to blow this team out by 30. The fact that you're 3-6, I know you say it's a throwaway game, but when you're not playing well, you want to end the All-Star break on a positive note. They were supposed to come out and smash this team, but Chuck said it. They had trouble with the defense, no timely stops, no effort. I believe you. And like I said earlier, it's a championship team on paper. That's nowhere near a championship. The way they're playing right now, they're going to get swept in the first round.
It's interesting. Okay, let's be patient. Let's be patient. And then I said, okay, they had the champs come to the house and they smacked them up. They beat Denver by 25. And I'm like, okay, they got the Heat. The Heat going to play. And I said, I said condolence to Jimmy Butler too, man. I just thinking about you and your family, brother. And then like, they playing the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. They're gonna get a little momentum. They're gonna beat them. Then they're gonna beat Memphis.
Go into the break with a little 3-game winning streak, 4-game winning streak.
Now, the Memphis Grizzlies won 2 in a row, and these guys lose 2 in a row.
So you heard what the crew had to say about the Bucks. I want to continue on to just explain to you just how bad the situation is with the Milwaukee Bucks. Are you guys aware that the Milwaukee Bucks fired a rookie head coach to go get a coach in Doc Rivers who's doing a worse job than the rookie head coach? Do you know since Doc Rivers has taken over the Milwaukee Bucks, they've lost 70% of their games? 70%. They're 7-3 under stewardship of Doc Rivers. To add insult to injury, are you guys also aware of the fact that as we sit here and speak, the Milwaukee Bucks are actually paying 3 coaches? They're paying Mike Budenholzer because they fired him. They're paying Adrian Griffin. They fired him. And now they're paying Doc Rivers. That's the Milwaukee Bucks. I remember this summer, a lot of people had a lot of high expectations for this Bucks team. Why? Because over the offseason, they acquired Damian Lillard, Dame time. Now, here's the wrinkle. When that trade went down, not everybody was excited about it. Or that acquisition went down, not everybody was excited about it. Do you know why? Because some people out there in the media, and some fans were saying, yeah, we got Dame. He's an offensive powerhouse. But we just lost arguably our best defender in Drew Holiday at the point of attack at the point guard spot. People like Skip Bayless and others were like, the Bucks are going to feel it. And what's been happening? Their defense has actually gotten worse. Damian Lillard is not providing the premium on offense to cover for his defensive deficiencies, which brings me over to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Listen, we got to point fingers at Giannis too. The reason we got to point fingers at Giannis is because If this were any other superstar in his position, they would be getting criticized. If it was Kevin Durant, he'll be getting criticized. If it was LeBron James, he'll be getting criticized. If it was Kawhi Leonard, he'll be getting criticized. So now it's Giannis Antetokounmpo's turn to be criticized. Giannis has been there in the midst of all of this. I agree with getting rid of Mike Budenholzer. I agree with that. He was one of the most dogmatic coaches in the entire NBA. Could not make an adjustment to save his life. So I understood that. But in the case of Adrian Griffin, now Giannis may say, I didn't get the coach fired. I'm sure he didn't, but you better believe he was aware and was abreast of what was going on. You better believe that. And if you're aware of that, you must have had an inclination of who they were going after. And now you got Doc Rivers. So now we find ourselves in a situation which is, you got to make it work. There are no two ways about it. You have to make it work. And if it doesn't work, the people that need to be blamed are the following: Bucks management, the people that have been making all of these decisions behind the scenes. That's number one. Number two, Doc Rivers. And number three, Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best player in the league on that team. Those are the three culprits that we need to look at.